Welcome to Written and Read By, Episode 9. Tensegrity by Nick LaMendola. There is a lull, and Maddie takes a sip of her drink to bolster her confidence. Okay. I know you're not supposed to talk about politics and religion this early on, but I think we have to rip this Band-Aid off. She begins, playfully. Who are you gonna vote for? It's their second date, and all Jason's told her about himself is that he works for a law firm. He's been intentionally avoiding the topic because she's gorgeous, and she actually seems to be interested in him, and he never really expected things to get this far. Her many possible expressions glide through his imagination like floats on a parade route. Surprise. Amusement. Respect. Disgust. If she's a Democrat, all of this will come crashing down. And he's not ready to go there yet. He isn't ready to face her disappointment. She went to Vassar. No chance she'll understand. He'll be ready with a phalanx of supporting information if she doesn't get up from the table immediately once she finds out. His YouTube channel has 700,000 subscribers, 1.2 million followers on Twitter. She might even have heard of @TrueJasonJames. He has quite a reputation. He raises his eyebrows in mock reluctance and pretends to clear his throat. Tensegrity can be thought of as the combination of tension and integrity. It is a design principle that applies when tension from elements under compression is opposed and balanced by a continuous tensile force, thereby creating an internal press stress that stabilizes the entire structure. Sunday, November 13th, 5 days post-election. Part 1. It had once been a mighty tree, hulking fearlessly in an ageless copse. Stick with me on this one. Someone in a crew wading through the Amazonian muck had spotted it, and it all pointed and gasped. It towered with pride as they scuttled through the forest gloom beneath. A sight to behold. It tightened and flexed its rippling boughs, slurping up their admiration like sunshine. They ran their palms along its trunk as they walked its circumference. "This will only hurt for a moment," they whispered. Then the canopy quaked and daylight poured in, and as the tree crumpled, it wondered how it might feel to be held. The crew took it apart, carrying it away in their hands, and the tree knew. That was 200 years ago, but slivers of the Colossus carved into boards and fitted onto panels of wall still decorate the back rooms of some of DC's most exclusive restaurants. The video in question is captured in high enough resolution that you can pause it, zoom in, and even in the dim light, trace your fingers along the sinewy grains of rosewood that our great nation's fathers handpicked to adorn the finest chambers of the world they'd built. Apparently, it was the candlelight that baffled the experts in the chaotic days following the clip's release. The warp and warble of the shadows billowing on the walls, draping the men's huddled faces. It was beyond algorithmic, they declared after studying it. Look at the light and shading. Look how precise it is. Computers don't render that way. That's a direct quote from some idiot on CNN. The cable stations all called in video forensics consultants. On cue, they scampered into frame, scrawny pinpricks of men, pulled reluctantly away from the glow of the screens they live behind. We are told to trust these men. This is how experts fail us. When you're talking to someone, watch for the puff of their cheeks. Inflating slowly, politely, watch as they barely contain the explosive urge to blather over the tails of your words, stampeding towards the point they were going to make regardless of what you just said. This is how we talk to one another. Fans, when you're in my position, you notice these things. The congressman denied saying it immediately, as everyone expected he would. The internet critiqued every inch of his face as he assured us of the clip's falsehood. Every profession of his innocence, his tolerance, his lack of a racist bone in my body was aggregated, analyzed, arbitrated. It was disgusting what they did to him. I did not say that, he intoned, over and over. I would never say that, he affirmed, frothing at the injustice of the accusation. Anyone that knows me would know that I would never have said that, imploring friends and colleagues to come to his aid, though too few did. His campaign was unfortunately dumbfounded at the undeniability of the footage, the painstaking accuracy of the shot. The congressman had been eating dinner with his campaign's inner circle in that restaurant on that night. They'd been campaigning in Virginia all day, the election just over a week away. They were so far ahead at this point in the race. Maybe someone had gotten careless and leaked their schedule. Who knows how it got out, how the leftists orchestrated their smear. Supposedly, a waiter had hidden his phone behind the bar, hit record, and left the room. The picture is clear enough that you can count the droplets of juice dripping from each bite of the congressman's steak. The campaign couldn't deny that they'd been there that night, and as soon as they didn't, their poll numbers began to slip. She's not giving us much to worry about, the communications director begins. The video captures his profile, eyes downcast as he twirls a sphere of ice around a rocks glass. She can't keep playing the woman card or she's finished. She comes off like a bitch, with the woman thing and all the black stuff too, chimes in the campaign manager, mercifully, out of the shot. They must have built a set and filmed it with actors, some of you spat defensively. In Ukraine or China. But how could they have predicted that the campaign would have eaten at that restaurant on that night? It would have taken weeks to set that up, and a campaign schedule at this stage in the game is unpredictable, to say the least. The Democrats paid Hollywood to CGI the whole thing, others of you dug in. But that would have also taken months, and the video was leaked the night of, only minutes after they'd finished eating. We scream at them, they scream at us. But here they have us by the balls, and our side still doesn't know how they'd pulled it off. As crazed as we are, teeth sinking into each other's windpipes, we aren't naive. Who knows what's real? There's no one in America that doesn't believe he could have said it. Only those that do, and those that don't. I'm 9 days from my presidency, boys, says our congressman, front and center, in the shot. His voice is clear from across the room and commanding. He's a big man, and there's no one at that table who would have talked over him. And I can't wait for that Negress's concession speech. So this is where the country was, fans, just a few days ago. The video drops with a week to go, total kick in our nads. And you have to ask yourself, who knows what's real? Who knows if he said it or not? I know how I'm voting. Are we really going to let this change our minds?
At King Bulbasaur. Right on, bro. You have a way with words. Couldn't have put it better myself. At 177666. Too true. No one changed my mind. At Be Young, Stay Woke. This is trash. I hope none of you can have children.
Sunday, October 30th, 9 days before election. She has to remember to breathe, to keep her beating heart from elbowing its way through her ribcage and onto her lap. On the inhale, Maddie gazes out the passenger window at the people on the street, wisping through this late night without a care in the world. Presumably, they haven't looked at their phones in the last hour. I know it's a Sunday night, and I'm sorry. Her boss's text had begun. But this is an all-hands-on-deck situation. He'd sent her a link, which was unnecessary, because she couldn't not have seen it. The video was absolutely everywhere. She'd watched it at 8:58, and immediately again at 9:01, before getting up to change out of her sweatpants and propping her phone against her bathroom mirror to watch it a third time while combing her hair, getting ready to head to the TV station. His text had pinged just as the clip ended, abruptly. She would have gone in anyway, despite being just an intern. She probably wouldn't be getting paid for tonight. The feeling of being called upon is exquisite, like a fine wine swirling down your throat. Her Uber driver is obeying every single one of the city's traffic laws. They approach a yellow light with trepidation, and she wants to yell and shove her phone in front of his face and hit play, make him turn off this Camry's eco mode and punch the goddamn gas. Instead, with 4 minutes until their arrival, she thumbs in her earbuds and watches it again, so it's fresh. There he is, centered in the dim frame. Eric Gormand, 3-time Republican congressman from Colorado. A little over a week before an election he's looking sure to win, surrounded by his cabal, dishes clanking as they devour a meal. She'll have to remind herself not to use the word cabal when she gets to the 7th floor. Impartiality is an emphatic creed in the news business, for whatever it's still worth. It had been a difficult tightrope to navigate during an unprecedentedly nasty campaign. But deep down, the man does repulse her. The clip is nearly over, and she watches him pronounce it again, his sneeringly overdressed version of the N-word. To Maddie, nothing fits his character more snugly. Nothing he might have said in private could be more believable. Her driver slows in front of the skyscraper. Maddie flings open her door before they've stopped, racing across the sidewalk towards the glowing lobby. Monday, October 31st, 8 days before election. Today's video might run a little long, but I thought I might give you a glimpse into my day-to-day. It's 8 p.m. I just got home from 12 hours at the office. The life of a young lawyer. I'm on my couch reading your comments and tweets when my dog's ears perk up. My German Shepherd fans, you'll remember. Gus, short for Asparagus, the stupid name Madeline gave him. It's the most dignified of the nicknames she's dumped on him. Sperry, Pear, the absurd Gustafsson. He squirms his outstretched legs back under him, coiling to spring from the couch. He has much better hearing than I do, and he can identify Maddie's footfalls in the stairwell long before I hear her keys rattle the lock. "Hello," Maddie whistles, stepping through the door. She isn't expecting a response, it's just an old habit, she knows where to find me. Gus flings himself off the couch, peeling around the corner like an RC car on an ice rink. "Hi, Gussie Poo," she coos, and in the other room he jumps up towards her face for kisses, even though I've told her over and over to stop reinforcing that habit. She scuttles down the hallway past the room I'm in, the dog hot on her tail. "One sec, Jay, I have to pee so bad." And then, "Amelia was back at work today, so it was a total crap show," yelling through the apartment from the bathroom. Fans, she won't use the word shit unless she's been drinking. That's Madeline. Even while forcing me to listen to the stream of her urine carom around the toilet bowl from the next room, she feels it discourteous to curse. I smell her enter the room. Gus is clawing at my thighs, and she kisses me right on the mouth. I don't even want to look at her. She's so unbelievably beautiful. Her love for me so inconceivably deep. Fans, I don't know how I got so lucky. I don't want to open my eyes. I'd rather drift in the darkness as if all of this were a fantasy. "You remember our plans for tonight, right?" she asks, the upward tip of her inflection sharp as a fishhook. My eyes are open now, but narrowing. "No." "Jason," she extends it irritatingly. "Kara's party." This I don't feel I need to respond to. "Kara's Halloween party." And then she pours out a bucket of details about where and when and who will be there. I wait patiently for her to finish. "Have a good time." Of course, she protests. Fans, you have to expect some pushback when you tell a woman something she doesn't want to hear. But she relents. She can still go to the party. I'm not forbidding anything. But I don't play dress up. Now, she isn't going to wear some slutty costume. She respects herself and me too much for that. She'll be traveling in a group. She'll be home by 11. She keeps mace in her purse, the best we can do given the city's dumb-assed concealed carry ban. Before the lefty mob ignites its torches, this is all stuff she suggested. I don't hand down the rules by decree, but we do live by a code of conduct, both of us. And this is how she upholds her side of the bargain. By the time she's ready, hair done and makeup reapplied, damn if she doesn't look good enough to make me almost want to go to that party. She doesn't like me bragging about her. She won't let me post any pictures for you. But fans, believe me, she's a 10. I hand her $40, her job pays shit, and give her a good kiss to remember me by on her way out the door. And then I sit down to begin this piece. Today actually does have a premise. Don't be fooled by my babbling stream of consciousness thus far. I thought that some of you who've been watching me for years would appreciate this. A reminder that I don't spend 100% of my time ranting into my laptop about politics. I, for the most part, am a regular guy. That being said, there's kind of an important election coming up. That walrus has really been making the most of our congressman's gaffe. She won't shut up about it, and neither will any of the cable channels, or talk radio, or any of the other vlogs, or people on the street. That word has vacuumed up all the oxygen in our atmosphere. Something is totally wrong about this. The timing is better than perfect. In fact, it's unbelievable. But we have people on this. If there's been any foul play, you'll know as soon as I do. This doesn't feel real, but even if we can't prove it isn't, come on. The guy said a word. In private. While eating dinner to his inner circle, a team he's spent every waking moment with for the last 2 years. Dare I say it? It's not a defense, don't jump down my throat. A touch of alcohol was involved. It wasn't a very nice word, I get it. It's not fair to attack the governor based on the color of her skin, fine. Though I don't know how much clearer it can be that the content of her character is a pit of decay. He shouldn't have said it, but campaigns are incredibly stressful, and if he was blowing off some steam, said something he shouldn't have, who the hell hasn't? It doesn't affect the issues. It doesn't change his impeccable credentials or her resume of talking out of her sizable ass for 20 years while getting nothing done. Fans, have you forced yourself to listen to the fusillade of whining from their side like I have these last 2 days? You'd think he'd suggested a lynching. I'm not going to comment on the fact that our country was founded on the principle of free speech. I'm not going to wade into that morass. I'm just going to be the voice of reason here. Give the guy a break. She would be a literal disaster for our capitalist system. Don't let one ill-advised word derail everything we've been working to build. Keep campaigning for him. Keep knocking on doors. Keep tweeting. Keep to the issues.
At Ninja Star 5. Don't let their campaign of political correctness stop our progress. At 177666. God bless you, patriot. At Dogbutt. The governor? Whining? Please. You're a bigot. You and your shit candidate deserve one another. At Guitarded. Die, liberal scum.
Sunday, November 6th, 2 days before election. Finally had the day off, went to the gym. Being the new guy at the firm, I have to bust my ass 6 days a week. I'm never home, but you all know me, I don't like to complain. I hadn't gone in a long time, and I started off feeling stiff and slow. There is no mental reset like 3 hours of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. On the mat, there is no quibbling, no negotiation. You have your weight, your leverage. He has his weight, his leverage. And you hurl yourself toward him, and he hurls himself back. and you pull each other into the first grapple, seized in a timeless moment of tenuous equanimity, before either of you has the better position. No matter how strong you feel, no matter how big he is, there's always the collision, the crunch as an unstoppable force meets an immovable object, and each of you pours every droplet of what you are into the plunging heave of your grip. Whether it's over in half a second or half a minute, that elastic moment is everything there is, everything there has ever been. Fans, today I was decisive. Today I was kicking ass. They say it should be emotionless, your body should leave your mind out of the fight, but today I had too much to unload. I threw my opponents to the ground with pride. I vanquished. A couple of cucks, probably libbies that recognized me from YouTube, took it personal and tried to start some shit. One sad sack threw a punch, but I got him in a headlock with his fist still sailing through thin air. He was pale and limp by the time they made me let him go, and they kicked both of us out and took our badges. I'm not torn up about it. Plenty of gyms in this city, whiners taking up space in every one. These videos aren't a diary. I'm illustrating a point, which is that your enemies will wail, they'll lose their tempers, they'll cheat, and swing at you when they think you're not ready. Anticipate, evade, use their misguided momentum against them. Right now we're looking at an uphill battle. Most of the sites are claiming that the governor has taken the lead. Her cheap shot connected. But do not falter. Turn back the tide.
At Mr. Imperialist, send that bitch to jail. Send our boy to the White House.
Monday, November 7th, one day before election. It's 6:40 p.m., and Maddie still has 3 flash drives worth of pre-polling analysis to dig through before tomorrow morning's broadcast. It's not gonna matter, the voice in her head suggests, temptingly. The election is tomorrow. Nobody in D.C. is going to change their vote because the intern at the local ABC affiliate uncovered some spooky, unforeseen trend in a data set. But none of her colleagues have gone home yet. Her boss had rallied the office this morning with a speech about the last mile of the marathon. "Stay strong, everyone," he'd encouraged, despite some eye-rolling. Her desk faces a wall. No one can see her computer screen without sneaking up behind her. It has been hours since she's taken a break. She opens up a private browsing tab and logs into Facebook. Before she begins to scroll, she notices that she'd been sent a private message. It's a link to a video, uploaded a week earlier, with 120,000 views already. The message says, "He's not talking about you, is he?" Her earbuds hold back the sound. Unevenly, blotches of color drain from her face. Tuesday, November 8th. Election Day. The world is ending. The talking heads just keep flopping on their jellied necks, quivering visibly with delight. On every channel, the liberal anchors interview their liberal demographers who spout their liberal analysis through teeth-clenched jubilation. Tonight, everyone is on their side. Everyone wants to lift that pig onto a throne over their heads and dance the Hava Nagila. Even Maddie, who I thought I could trust, with whom I hoped I could commiserate, Maddie is insufficiently devastated. She tries to reassure me, lying about how it's all gonna be okay, whatever that means. I tell her that I can see right through her smug dispassion, tell her that she's a shitty actress, suggest that she head downstairs to join the hordes celebrating in the streets. She looks at me like I just punched her mom, and I get the hell out of the apartment before I throw a chair through the TV. Now it's just me and the dog wandering these dirty streets, heads lowered against all of the wailing. I won't believe it. Not tonight with its pyrotechnic scorch, tempers igniting in celebration. Not tomorrow, as this pit of a city awakens, hungover, sniffing wafts of char and sulfur out of the air, trying to remember what it is that we've just done. Fireworks and car alarms are going off all around us. Gus is a tangle of nerves, twitching like an insect at every sound. God-awful excuse for a walk. I shouldn't have him out in this, but I can't stay inside. They're saying we got swept. I don't know what I'm telling you for. By the time I upload this, it will be too late. Fans, you'll ask me, why? How? Why? This post is my inability to answer that question. If we elect that disaster of a woman, and fans, it's late evening on the East Coast and I'm just spitting out words into my phone, but it looks like we have, I won't know what to tell you. Protest? Demand a recount? Take up arms? I don't know. But there's one more thing to say. I know, you know, we all know what's to blame. Without that video, our congressman flicks that woman aside with his pinky finger, and we take the White House with heaps of delegates to spare. I know, you know, we all know that video couldn't have been framed more accurately, couldn't have been timed more perfectly, couldn't have. Fans, I'm not one to cry wolf, but believe me, I feel your indignation. I'm peeling back the layers of this conspiracy. I don't have all of it yet, but I have a feeling we'll crash her party. This reeks, and our hounds will find the buried corpse. Made it home. Dog went straight for his bed, heedless. Ignorance is bliss. News was still on. Maddie offered herself to me as a distraction. A welcome one, but I wasn't in the mood. Needed to sit down to get this all out. For you, my vigilant, suspicious, powerful fans. No, her sprawling platform of lies will tremble atop the earthquake of our righteousness. Washington will shudder as we approach, its structure recoiling with a faint tensegrity as we reach forth to pull it apart. I'll be there to see it crumble. I know you'll all be beside me.
At 1776-66, burn down her coven and kill the bitch. At Mr. Imperialist, safes unlocked, my weapons of war are locked and loaded. At I am President Reagan, I feel for you, Jay. Libtards swarming my streets too, fouling my air with their stink. Getting ready to pull out the old flamethrower. At Matty Page 313, attention. At the risk of exposing my IP address to a bunch of disgusting trolls, here goes nothing. This is the real Madeline. I couldn't believe how popular his stupid videos were getting, but I figured it was none of my business until a friend showed me what Jason had been saying about me. To set the record straight, I barely know this guy. We never lived together. I've reached out to him by text and email, but he's been ignoring me, so I had to come out here. All of you are free to say whatever loathsome things you want about the president-elect, but leave me out of it. By the way, hearing she offered herself to me made me throw up in my mouth. Jason, you are pathetic beyond words.
Thursday, November 10th, 2 days post-election. Fans remain vigilant. Liars abound, their stories as profuse as they are indigestible. Yes, I read the comment in question. Not a day goes by that I don't receive some bit of trash like this. You have no idea. My original plan was to ignore it, as I usually do, but the comment has garnered so much attention that I can no longer do so. To cut to the heart of the matter, @MaddiePage313 is a fake account, obviously. Maddie doesn't use Twitter. She says she doesn't get it. I don't know who is behind it. The account wasn't recently created, it's been active for years, but I've been doing what I do for a long time. I've made a lot of enemies. It wouldn't surprise me if this sad loser has been taking aim at me since the beginning. But what poor execution! Who spends years setting up their one shot, only to fire such a flimsy bullet? A filthy liberal. That's who. Sunday, November 13th. 5 days post-election, Part 2. It had once been a mighty tree, hulking fearlessly in an ageless copse. Then, 200 years ago, it fell, its branches clawing at the surrounding rainforest as it collapsed earthward. And we're still reeling from the impact of that crash. Fans, today is the day we've been waiting for. I asked you, are you really going to let that video change your minds? You shouted back a resounding no. But many others failed us, and when that scum was pronounced elected, many of those in power wanted to move on, to go on pretending that we never existed. I told you then that I'd caught a whiff of something foul. I told you then that our hounds would dig up the body. Today I bring you a maggoty corpse. We knew our side was brilliant, we knew we were tireless, that our cynicism was not unwarranted. We discovered what those experts could not, or chose not to see. The careless fingerprints of an imposter. Thanks go out to @HotRebel, who pointed out that something was off about the background in the footage. Cheers to you, patriot. We will see that you'll be handsomely rewarded. We called upon our boys to look for patterns, to decrypt the cipher, and it took exhaustive days and nights of computational effort, but it was there the whole time in the grains of the wood paneling. No tree would grow like that, we thought. The pattern is practically tessellated, we noticed upon closer inspection. Somebody in graphics got lazy, or ran out of time. It took @King Bulbasaur risking his safety by sneaking into the restaurant to photograph the place, to shatter the facade. You, patriot, deserve a bronze statue of yourself riding on a horse. You, sir, have changed the course of world history. He brought us back a trove of images, and a quick comparison with the video told us all we needed to know. The clip is a clever CGI render of the room, but an imperfect one. They thought they could fool us by playing with the candlelight, by strobing the back walls with bright and cascading shadow. But we knew better. Our congressman has been denying the footage since day one, crying foul until his voice went hoarse. And we were on his side, but no one wanted to listen. Of course, now we know, that flabby shrew was handed our leader's head on a golden spit, and without a trace of integrity in the perfidious splotch of her body, she ran with it, knowing it was entirely computer-generated. Those in power believed that the technology to engineer a ruse this convincing did not exist. Our opponents thought they could drown our dissent in the cavalcade of their vigor, brush us aside like yesterday's garbage. Hollywood, and let's be honest, who else would have the expertise to pull this off, believed that its little film had hit home. Now it's time to set fire to their infrastructure and watch them writhe in humiliation as we pry victory from their hands. This election is going into overtime.
At Hot Rebel! Time to take our country back! Ooh! At 1776-66. God bless this American hero! At CFOXY22. Faked? No way. I've watched this idiot off and on these last few months to see how the other side lives, and he's deluded. Except that your asshole said what he said, he'll be thrown in the trash bin of history with you lot. At Guitarded. Speak when spoken to, English turd.
Tuesday, November 16th, 7 days post-election. It's Tuesday, November 16th, and we begin tonight with what is once again our top story. The last week had been a tilt-a-whirl, and if the anchor hadn't said it aloud, Maddie might not have been able to come up with today's date. The woman is all poise, beautiful and sharp like a falcon. Maddie is watching the live, in-building feed, sitting 50 feet from the soundproofed studio. 1 week after the election, today saw more protests turn gruesomely violent as right and left-wing activists clashed in streets across the nation. States of emergency have been declared, and National Guard troops mobilized to many sites as police officers and barricades were unable to contain demonstrators. In Portland, at least 24 protesters were taken to area hospitals after sustaining injuries, and sources there contend that the fighting is nowhere near over. In Raleigh, a parade was derailed when a swarm of self-identified white nationalists attacked a group of Chapel Hill students. Oklahoma City can so far be called the most brutal, where there have been numerous reports of shots fired outside the state capitol, and 2 people are confirmed dead. Lawmakers are pleading with the president-elect to make a statement following the startling allegations that her campaign had received advance notice of the timing of the release of the infamous N-word clip, now widely confirmed to be manufactured and fraudulent. She has maintained her silence and is being held in an undisclosed, secure location. For more on the horrific violence, we now turn to our very own senior reporter, Arlen Chesno, on the ground in Oklahoma. Maddie checks her phone. No response from him yet, but 3 oscillating dots suggest that he's reading, or typing, or deleting something. It's hard not to sound desperate when a conversation is just a monologue.
Make them stop, Jason. My phone won't stop buzzing. I'm getting death threats. They have my phone number, so I'm sure they've figured out my address, too. This doesn't have anything to do with us anymore. They dug up my mom's info and threatened her, and she won't stop calling me. She's terrified. I can handle myself, but if anything happens to anyone I know, my station's legal team will ruin your life. Just call them off. These thugs listen to you. Make them stop.
The 3 dots of his possible reply taunt her with their winking. Wednesday, November 16th, 8 days post-election. Euphoria! Is that jaw-breaking enough? Does it convey the blow with a pertinent impact to our opponent's groin? Are we simply euphoric to see that troll discredited, abandoned by her friends and her party, a political leper to be irradiated by blowtorch from her place in history? I feel like a dog gnawing on a tennis ball filled with cocaine. But I'm not here to convey my triumphance, to congratulate you, fans, on our devastating victory, or we'd be here all day. Sadly, this is just the beginning. Now is our time to push for an immediate re-election. Now is the time to press our weight into the teetering political opinion, to rise up like the masses we truly are, and demand it. There is no clear provision in the Constitution or in historical precedent to guide the course of the next few days and weeks. I've researched this exhaustively. I've buried my nose in the literature, fans, on our behalf. What we have is, well, it's not much. We are already suing like just about everybody. Our lawsuit was filed minutes after we made our findings about that video public. Our legal team is unmatched. Of that, at least, you can rest assured. We, the people, might have to force Congress to invalidate the results, press for a special election. This is going to take a lot of political will. Talk to everyone you know. Smile when you encounter the queasy left. Remind them of all the times they've demanded fairness. The more the nation supports the idea that the election was stolen, the better chance we have. But Jason, what about impeachment? There is likely enough fury in Congress right now to toss her out of the Oval Office with last administration's curtains. But I'll remind you, that will leave us with her dingus VP. Not nearly the hideous disaster that 4 years of her administration would be, but toxic sludge is toxic sludge. I've watched him, standing behind during her recent speeches, torn between looking dignified and supportive, or disgraced and appalled. That idiot probably had no idea the tape ever existed, let alone was doctored. And now his knees are knocking, like a newlywed who just took a doozy of a shit in his mother-in-law's house, and the plumbing is 100 years old, and he tore off way too much toilet paper. Is it gonna flush? The water's rising. And of course, dear fans, there is option 3. Not my favorite, but certainly the most exciting. Insurrection. Before the outraged lefties accuse me of inciting violence, let me restate my preference for option number 1. A public push for a special election is by far our best method of getting what we want. But, of course, There have never been patriots who fight harder for justice than those on our side. If what is right is pulled from our hands, we will wrest it back. If it takes an army, we will take up our arms.
At King Bulbasaur. I'm loading clips for every weapon I own while listening to you speak, Jay. Where you go, I go. At Guitarded. They give us what we want, or they taste the barrel of my AR. At Afrika. Jesus, listen you people. White trash.
Monday, November 21st. 15 days post-election. In the conference room, everyone's phones buzz all at once. But it takes the executive producer a moment to trail off in the middle of her sentence. Emergency alert! Ballistic missile threat inbound to Washington, D.C. Seek immediate shelter. This is not a drill. Lots of people are muttering, and the consensus is, holy shit. That was 2 hours ago, and so far the world hasn't vanished in a flash of light. Maddie has been put in charge of updating the headlines on the station's website, which she's needed to do every 5 minutes or so, as developing information floods in from on and off-record sources. Confirmed alert sent through government public alarm system. Update no system was hacked, confirms Secretary of Homeland Security. Update Department of Defense reassures public no missiles have been launched. Update White House Press Secretary. Do not panic. Her parents have both called, but she'd sent them to voicemail. It wasn't real, just a prank or something. She'd texted, making something up. Too busy to talk. I'm fine. She tosses in that last bit by reflex, deciding that it has to be true. She is shaken, but her structure holds together. Tuesday, November 22nd. 16 days post-election. Haven't been able to make a video in a few days. I'm needed in too many places. Taking time off from work, traveling for the movement, stuck in strategy meetings, conference calls, planning sessions. It never ends. But everything is on the line. Yeah, I got the alert too. Most of the East Coast got it. I've seen screenshots with the names of dozens of cities around the US by now. And okay, I was a little scared too, for like a second. But we aren't engulfed in flames, are we? Yet another leftist attempt to frighten us into submission. Don't leave your homes. It's dangerous out there. Just let the election blow over. Don't congregate. Don't demonstrate. Keep your head down. It only occasionally shocks me to see how despicable our government truly is. Fans, I'm inoculated, believe me. But every once in a while, I just have to sit back and close my eyes. Obviously, her team ordered the strike. Not actual missiles. That would be, to borrow one of the left's favorite phrases, problematic. But they set off the alert. She called in a favor, or someone working for her did. People were truly afraid for their own lives, for the lives of their families. This was a depraved thing to do, even for a Democrat. I got a call from Maddie only a moment after I saw it. I was working out of town. Sorry, fans, can't be too much more specific than that. And everyone in the room looked up together, pallid-faced and awestruck. I was already piercing their motives. Even in that very moment, I was beginning to undermine their intent. And my phone rang. And through the line, I could hear screaming from outside of my apartment. And Gus was howling, and Maddie was all sobs, begging me to come home, saying that I would know what to do, that she couldn't be alone right now. Of course, I did know what to do. Nothing. It was a distraction. Another poorly executed and woefully timed attempt to knock us off our momentum. They feel us coming for them, and these people will try absolutely anything. By now, everyone knows it was another hoax. The fake news media is calling it a prank, which is typical. Fans, remain vigilant. You know who is responsible for this and why. Do not back down. At Maddie Page 313, since at True Jason James continues to spread lies about me to his swamp of followers, here are a few facts about him that you all should know. You conspiracy types are going to love these. 1. The entirety of my relationship with Jason lasted a week and a half. He and I met through a mutual friend 3 months ago, went on a couple of unimpressive dates, which I paid for, during which he never once stopped talking about himself. Turned him down when he begged me for sex after the second date. There wasn't a third. 2. Lawyer? Please. He flunked the bar. Go ahead and check the Maryland licensure. 3. Is he getting flown around the country for the movement? No. He doesn't attend conferences. He doesn't get called upon by right-wing think tanks. He is a 33-year-old with a GoPro set up in his basement. 4. Yes, I said basement. Guess who lives upstairs? His parents. I've got plenty more where that came from, but I'll give you some time to digest. People are freaked out enough right now with everything that's going on. The world doesn't need more cowardly men tweeting scummy lies, trying to convince you that they have it all figured out. The next day. Her left buttock buzzes. It's intuitive, almost extrasensory, how quickly she knows. It's him. She would ignore it, but it's in her back pocket, and the vibration laces through the leg of her chair and into the floor, and it's as if the entire room is transducing a wail in slow, agonized pulses. She reaches behind her to silence it before the third ring, without looking down from the table, pretending it's a scammer. My mom was really freaked. She called me right away 7 times and made me stay on a group call with my sister and my dad. She seriously thought we were all gonna die. She was crying and telling me she was watching the news and that the message was real and actually came from the military or whatever. And Ashley pours a creamer into her steaming coffee. Clara interjects, "Yeah, my dad, it was so sweet. He grew up during the Cold War, so he thought it was Russia." And I was like, I'm not going to hide under my desk. The two look to Maddie to say something. Yeah, she begins from a distance. I was pretty sure it wasn't real. But her thought is sliced down the middle when her phone goes off again. It's in her hands now, cupped under the table, like a head held under water. She sends him to voicemail, imperceptibly. Her friends go on, finding it difficult to imagine their world incinerated, reinforcing in hindsight how far-fetched the alert and the whole scare had seemed. Nuclear bombs don't just go off. Not in America. Time passes, like an old hair tie you just found from back when you were in college. You'd started carrying it again, for the nostalgia of it, and as you go to slide it off your wrist, as you stretch it around the swell of your knuckles, snap. She hasn't touched her mimosa, and she can see the waitress carrying their food out from the kitchen. And he's calling again. Maybe it's another one of his goons faking the caller ID. One more number to block. One more anonymous prick to shrug off. One more toe stubbed against her flinching sanity. 3 calls in 5 minutes is nothing, not for these swamp rats. Nothing to lose her composure over, unless her last post had finally gotten through to him. She slides out her chair, noisily. You don't need to talk to them, Matt. Clara seems always to be a step ahead of her. Ignore them, they're not worth it, agrees Ashley. But Maddie is already twirling exasperatedly away, apologizing with her eyes. What? She spits once she's outside, on the noisy street. It had rung enough times that she's not sure he's still there. But the reason for the pause is that he's startled she'd picked up, and now he has to figure out what to say. If this is Jason, you'd better get to it. If this is someone else... No, it's Jay. Though she's listened to an overwhelming amount of his voice lately, it's been a long time since they'd actually talked. His typical raptor tone has been plucked of its feathers. He sounds domesticated, pitiful. Yeah? After he doesn't continue. Is the noise he makes. He might go on, but the traffic that swells around her is all she can hear. Listen, I can't talk. I'm out right now. I don't even know why I answered, or what you thought you deserved to say to me. I'm sorry. He whimpers it. Oh yeah? Good. Though she feels nothing approaching satisfaction. I shouldn't have lied about you, he continues to burble. A helicopter, passing low overhead, interrupts for a moment. And then... Don't know what kind of pressure I'm under. These videos, I need to become something for the community. It's really difficult. Ew, don't try to justify yourself to me. But it's true, Maddie. Madeline, you creep. You don't get to call me that. Madeline. Fair enough. And then... I went overboard. It got out of hand, but it was for the character. I know you wouldn't... Why are you calling me, Jason? I need you. Please, could you take your post down? The community is getting suspicious, and I promise I'll leave you out of everything in the future. I'll say you dumped me. I did dump you. Yeah, Right, perfect. Well, I'll say that then, and I'll apologize publicly, too, in front of the community. I don't give a shit about your community. It amazes her to take in the incredible distance between their lives, to listen to him believe that he's crossed a chasm to reach her, while remaining so imponderably far away. I know, and you shouldn't, and I know some of them are really not nice guys. Some of them? Wow, I'm not taking down the post. Are you done? Please. He begs. Please, or it's all going to come apart. I have to be something for these people. They need me to be this leader, and there's a lot to be held together. There's all these forces pushing from all these different directions, and I was able to hold them, to hold everything up there's a tensegrity to it. Tensegrity? Are you even listening to yourself? Yeah, no, I know. It's a metaphor. It means... Don't you dare tell me what it means, Jason. You're an asshole. The people who listen to you are assholes. This was the worst apology I've ever received. Oh, my food is getting cold. Jason feels the line disconnect, like a tendon peeling away from its fusion to a bone. The structure bearing the load recoils, swaying for a moment in its inertia.
At Guitarded. Yo, Jay, where you at, man? We gonna take this bitch down or what? At Mr. Imperialist. At True Jason James was a real needle dick faker. At I am President Reagan. Lion jump. At 1776-66. Burn down the White House.
This has been written and read by Episode 9, Tensegrity. Thank you for making it to the end. I know these are long. Production help on this episode from Frankie and Foster, who, when they're not jumping all over my keyboard in the middle of a great take, are really excellent nappers. And of course, as always, to Woody.